In February, the literary world celebrates the birth of John Steinbeck in 1902. I've often joked that John Steinbeck and I were classmates here at Salinas High School, 50 years apart. John Steinbeck remains far and away the most famous alum of Salinas High School. And in my book, The High School, I chronicle 120 years of Salinas High School's history, and Steinbeck's story is a thread that runs through the whole book. The 1919 Salinas High yearbook shows the tall, stern-faced boy with the protruding ears as a member of the school's basketball and track teams. The 1919 senior class president, Steinbeck also had a lead part in the class play, was an associate editor on the yearbook, and a member of the military cadets. I figured that young John must have been a star among his classmates. But this is misleading, Steinbeck's biographer Jackson J. Benson concluded. Salinas High School had at that time only 24 graduating seniors. Nearly everybody was involved in some activity, and about half of the class appears to have been involved in everything that went on. Steinbeck, Jackson concludes, was a failure as an athlete. Despite a willingness, he was heavy, slow, and not well coordinated. He was also a bust in drama. High school yearbooks in those days were more like literary publications, consisting of a few photos and several poems, short stories, and humor pieces by students. With the exception of a short sarcastic piece about the high school, John Steinbeck contributed far less to the yearbooks than did his sisters, especially Beth and Mary Steinbeck, who published several poems and short stories in their Salinas High yearbooks. Reading their creations led me to recall Virginia Woolf's famous 1929 book, A Room of One's Own, which bemoaned how a lack of cultural and physical space constrained women from even imagining themselves as creators. Even those who, like the Steinbeck sisters, had grown up immersed in the arts and literature. As I read about them in the yearbooks, I wondered if Beth or Mary might have become famous writers under different historical conditions. There's no doubt that their brother John became a great writer. Today, the city of Salinas celebrates John Steinbeck. His name appears on the front of the public library. There's the National Steinbeck Center Museum that sits at the end of Main Street, a popular destination for scholars, historians, literary critics, and also tourists. But Steinbeck wasn't always celebrated in Salinas. In fact, for much of his adult life, he was vilified in his hometown. Steinbeck's support for farm laborers during the bloody strikes of the mid-1930s, expressed in his journalistic works and in his popular novels In Dubious Battle or The Grapes of Wrath, sparked a wave of red-baiting, hatred, and death threats that eventually led to his departure to the East Coast following World War II. Over the years, and especially since his death in 1968, the people of Salinas warmed to Steinbeck's memory, frequently connecting emotionally with his book, Travels with Charlie, parts of which are a veritable love letter to the Salinas Valley, while perhaps downplaying or ignoring his works that were more critical of the mistreatment of farm workers or World War II-era Japanese-American citizens. Salinas High today certainly embraces Steinbeck as its most famous alum, and his image recurs every so often in the yearbooks. I invite you to explore more deeply how John Steinbeck's story runs through the history of his alma mater and his hometown in my book, The High School.